There are moments in football where time stands still, moments so magical, so perfect, that they feel almost unreal. Andrés Iniesta had more than his fair share of these moments. A footballer who didn't just play the game, but painted a masterpiece every time he stepped on the pitch. His brilliance wasn't in power or speed, but in something far greater, an understanding of the game that bordered on artistry. But what if I told you that long before Iniesta lifted trophies, before he became the quiet genius who dominated world football, someone saw it coming. Someone believed in his magic when no one else did. That someone was Pep Guardiola. Let's rewind to July 21st, 1999. The Barcelona first team wasn't on the pitch that day. They were sitting in the stands of Camp Nou, watching the club's under-14 squad fight in the Club World Cup final. Among them was Guardiola, alongside Figo and Xavi. By the time number 4 got his first touch, Pep couldn't sit still. He turned to Xavi, pointing to the small, skinny kid in the midfield, and said, "I know you'll retire me someday, but that kid, he's going to retire both of us." Andrés Iniesta scored the decisive goal, sealing victory, and in that moment, Guardiola couldn't hold back. He left his seat in the stands, made his way down to the pitch and handed Iniesta the trophy himself, whispering, "In 10 years I'll be watching you from the stands again." Well, Pep got it wrong. He didn't end up watching from the stands. Instead, he was watching from the bench as Andrés Iniesta led Barcelona to heights no one could have imagined. And this is where our story begins, the rise of one of football's greatest magicians. Born on May 11th, 1984, in the quiet village of Fuente Albila, Spain, Iniesta's journey started in the most humble of settings. Growing up in a close-knit family, his love for football was nurtured from an early age. At just 12, Barcelona's famed La Masia Academy came calling, recognizing his raw talent. But the move to La Masia was anything but easy for young Andrés. Moving hundreds of miles away from his family, he struggled with intense homesickness and loneliness. Iniesta later admitted that he cried every night, longing to return home. But even in those dark moments, one thing remained constant: his determination on the pitch. Coaches at La Masia knew they had something special, a player who could see passes before they happened. A young boy with the mind of a footballing genius. But despite his talent, Iniesta's path to stardom was never guaranteed. Breaking into Barcelona's first team wasn't easy. In those early years, he found himself in the shadow of stars like Ronaldinho, Deco, and Xavi. Many questioned whether he could make it. But Iniesta, he never complained. He quietly worked harder, smarter, learning from the best around him. It wasn't until the 2004 to 2005 season that his breakthrough finally came. Iniesta became a regular in the Barcelona lineup, but he was still somewhat invisible to the world. He didn't score dozens of goals, didn't have the dazzling dribbles of Messi. Yet when he was on the ball, magic happened. As Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka revolution took off, Iniesta became the heart of it. And then, one of his most iconic moments, 2009 Champions League semi-final against Chelsea. Barcelona's dreams were slipping away. Time was running out. The pressure, unimaginable. But Iniesta, calm, composed, delivered a moment of pure brilliance. A last-minute strike that sent Barcelona to the final. The stadium erupted. That goal wasn't just about skill, it was about perfect timing, about a player who never shied away when the stakes were highest. Barcelona fans will tell you, Iniesta didn't just save them that night, he secured a place in footballing folklore. Quiet, humble Andrés Iniesta was now on the world stage. But as Iniesta reached the heights of his football career, he faced his own battles off the pitch. Behind the calm and brilliance that he displayed on the field, Iniesta faced deep personal struggles. Injuries had begun to take a toll on his body, long months of rehabilitation that tested both his physical and mental strength. The game he loved, once a source of endless joy, started to feel distant. Then came a year where everything felt heavier. In 2009, Iniesta found himself sinking into a deep depression. The weight of his injuries, the pressure of the game, and the personal loss of one of his closest friends, Dani Jarque, who tragically passed away from a heart attack, all converged. The light that football once brought into his life dimmed, leaving him to wrestle with emotions he hadn't faced before. For an entire year, it was a battle to rediscover the love for the game that once defined him. Yet through it all, Iniesta endured. Slowly but surely, he rebuilt himself, physically and mentally. But in 2010, Iniesta's greatest moment came on the international stage, when he etched his name into football history forever. Spain was chasing their first ever World Cup title in a tense, gritty final against the Netherlands. With the score locked at 0-0 deep into extra time, it was Iniesta who stepped up. In the 116th minute, Iniesta received a pass from Fabregas and struck the ball into the back of the net. The world watched as Spain's long wait for World Cup glory came to an end. That moment, it defined a nation. It made Iniesta a hero. Even in the midst of his greatest triumph, Iniesta did something extraordinary. He lifted his shirt to reveal a message, a tribute to his friend, Dani Jarque, who had tragically passed away. It was a moment that transcended football, showing the world Iniesta's compassion, his humility. In 2018, after 22 years of service to Barcelona, Iniesta made the difficult decision to leave the club he called home. His farewell at Camp Nou was nothing short of emotional. Tears flowed as he played his final game in the iconic red and blue jersey. Fans, teammates and coaches all stood in awe, paying tribute to the man who had given them everything. His time at Barcelona had come to an end, but his legacy was already cemented. After 22 unforgettable years at Barcelona, Andrés Iniesta began a new chapter in 2018. He set his sights on Japan, joining Vissel Kobe in the J-League. For many, it was a surprising choice, but for Iniesta, it was a chance to bring his artistry to a new audience. In the heart of Japan, he continued to weave magic on the field. His passing, vision, and unrivaled technique inspired a new generation of fans, while his leadership transformed Vissel Kobe into serious contenders. With Iniesta at the helm, Vissel Kobe lifted the Emperor's Cup and the Japanese Super Cup, adding to his already glittering career. He wasn't just a player in Japan, he was an ambassador for the beauty of football. As his time in Japan drew to a close in 2023, Iniesta made one last move in his storied career. This time, he ventured to the Middle East, joining Emirates Club in the UAE Pro League. Though he was in the twilight of his playing days, Iniesta's influence was undeniable. On the pitch, his vision and creativity still sparkled, while off the pitch, he became a mentor to younger players, sharing the wisdom and grace he had acquired over decades. While his time at Emirates Club was brief, it served as a fitting final act for one of the game's greatest ever midfielders. Whether in Japan or the UAE, Iniesta left a trail of brilliance that transcended leagues and continents. And now, in 2024, the curtain falls on an extraordinary journey. On October 7th, Andrés Iniesta officially announced his retirement from professional football. With the world watching, the man who made football poetry with every touch of the ball closed the final chapter of his playing career. But Iniesta's legacy isn't just in the trophies, the assists or the accolades, it's in the way he played the game, with elegance, humility and an unwavering passion. He was more than just a footballer. He was an artist, a leader and an icon who reminded us that football could be beautiful. Though he may no longer grace the pitch, Iniesta's influence will never fade. His story will continue to inspire, and the echoes of his brilliance will be felt for generations to come.